Well, good morning, everybody. Let's start chores. Good morning, girls. Good morning, Donna. Good morning, Linda. How are you guys this morning? Good morning, Dolly. Good morning, Charlie. Good morning, Ginger. Now, Dolly always needs to get fed first because she's got a different kind of feed. She's on a grower feed because she's the one that we're raising for meat. Everybody else is on more of a maintenance feed so that they don't get too fat. Well, are you guys ready for breakfast? Charlie, I know you like to eat as a porridge. Now you got feed in your nose. He always likes to eat as I dump it out. Alright, we need to go give Ginger some in a separate pan, otherwise her and Charlie don't always play so well together. Here you go, Ginger. Well, she'll find it in a little bit. Alright, let's go feed Linda and Donna. They are being loud. No, I hear you. You each get a scoop. There you go. Well, it looks like Ginger found her food. Oh, now Charlie's gonna eat out of the bowl and Ginger will go back to the platform. This is kind of what they do. Good morning, Myrtle. Now these days I've been giving Myrtle her feed, but then the piglets are starting to eat a little bit too, so I give them a little bit on the ground so they can eat some too. Good morning, Myrtle. There's yours, Mama. Here, piglets. There you go. They're getting a little more friendly.
Now for the rest of the chores at the farm. These days, the only animals we have at the homestead are the pigs. All the other animals are here at the farm. So let's start out by letting these ducks and chickens out. They're so noisy, ready to come out.
So this time of year, when we know that it's going to freeze overnight, we come out and we turn off all of the frost-free hydrants for the cattle, so that it drains not only the hydrant itself, but it drains the hose. That way the next morning when we come out, we can just turn it back on and it will fill up their troughs. Now today it's supposed to be close to 60 degrees and tonight it's not supposed to freeze, so we're just gonna leave them on. We just pay attention to the weather, and if it's gonna freeze, we'll make sure we turn it off at night. We've got 2 more to do. Let's go check on Babe and Tex. Well, you can see Tex and all of the calves out here. They are actually the first ones to start getting hay for the year. They're on their 2nd bale already. But we've also turned their water off overnight because it was going to freeze. Now, as of right now, they still have the pond as well. So really, they don't even need this water. We're just trying to get them used to this because hopefully soon we're going to fence off the pond so we can stock it with fish. And then we won't be allowing the cows in the pond anymore. So, let's get theirs back on. Morning, Tex. And the last one to do is our Jersey calf, Babe. She is really enjoying the shelter that we built for her. Almost every morning now when we come down to do chores, she's laying in that shelter to get out of the wind and the cold, so that's good. All right, everybody's got water again for the day. Let's move on to milking Rose.
Are you ready? Rose is turning into a very nice and gentle milker. She's a very good girl on the milking stanchion. We get a lot of questions about why we use 2 inflations at a time rather than all 4 at once. And honestly, for me, my hands are so small, it's too hard for me and it's really cumbersome for me to try to handle all 4 at once. So we just do the back 2 first and then the front 2. It has never bothered her. We're still getting way more milk than we need and it's working out well for us. I think either way is just fine. Let's go out. Come on, out, out. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Well, all of our morning chores are done and we're back down at the homestead. So before we get to work today, we wanted to talk to you guys just a little bit about some of the things that are happening around the homestead and the farm and some of the changes you might start to see over the next year or so.
Now we want to kind of back up a little bit and just kind of review some things that have happened over the past year and a half, actually. About a year and a half ago, Kevin and I did something that we never dreamed would be possible, and we never even dreamed that we would want. A second property.
Now the second piece of land is pretty close to our homestead. It's close enough that we go back and forth several times a day, and it's not really a big deal to go back and forth. And to be honest, these days we spend most of our time down at what we call the farm. We've just kind of called this place here our homestead and the other place our farm, just to kind of keep things easier when we're talking about things. The truth is, these days, we do very little here at the homestead. The only thing really left here at the homestead was this past summer we still gardened here, and at this time the pigs are still here at the homestead. But other than that, everything has already moved down to the farm.
Now, a couple months ago, we shared with you guys that having two different properties has really ended up being a lot more work than we can handle, or, you know, it's really kind of getting to be too much for us. And so we told you that our end goal is to end up permanently at the farm property that we bought a year and a half ago.
Right. So that means that not only do we need to finish kind of moving everything down to the farm, we need to move the pigs. Next year we'll be doing all of our gardening down at the farm. Eventually we need to move down to the farm. But it means that we have a lot of projects to get done here at the homestead kind of wrapped up, so that not only are we prepared to leave the homestead and sell it at some point, but so that it's ready for another family to enjoy this piece of property when that time comes.
There are a lot of things kind of up in the air all at once. You know, we're doing things here at the homestead to get ready to move to the farm, but there are things at the farm that aren't ready for us to just move into. So there are a lot of things going on at once, kind of behind the scenes, that we're not able to just share everything with you guys.
We haven't put the homestead up for sale, although that is our intention, probably within the next year or so, just depending on how things go. But again, it's going to be a process to get everything moved from one place to another. So today, the project that we're working on is one of those projects. We're going to actually take out some of the raised bed gardens that we built when we very first moved here. We actually haven't used them now in several years. They're overgrown, they're an eyesore, and to be honest, we wouldn't want another family to move into this place and have to deal with these raised beds in the condition that they're in. So today is a day where we're going to kind of destroy them and just turn them back into part of the yard.
We actually, one of our very first videos 6 years ago or so, we were building these raised bed gardens. We had pulled out some old pine logs that had fallen in the woods from here and just really wanted something instant that we could start gardening in. So they served their purpose well for us for the few years that we used them before we started using our big gardens. But Kevin's right, it's time for them to go. They are an eyesore, and they're serving no purpose for us.
Next year, like I said, all of our gardening is going to take place down at the farm. We're excited over this winter to get started on that as well. Really determining exactly where we're going to be gardening down there. We have a pretty good idea, but just figuring out the size and everything else, we're excited to move on to that next chapter of doing everything down at the farm.
It is a gorgeous day here in southern Missouri. We're going to take advantage of the great weather and bring you along on this kind of dismantling of these gardens. You guys might not even be able to tell, but there are 3 separate raised beds here. We've used them for various things over the years, herbs and veggies, onions, all kinds of things. So these actually are 3 out of 7 that we originally had. We had 4 over by the big garden that we took out last winter, and these are the last 3 remaining raised beds. So you can see they're very overgrown. There are stumps in there. In some cases there's weed fabric in there. We've got a lot of work to do. I think one of the first things we're going to do though is see if we can burn some of this really dry weeds that are overgrown. We can burn some of the seeds and maybe it'll just help us get rid of some of this faster. We also need to pull out logs that are the outside kind of borders of them. So those are the first things that we need to do. We're just going to get started.
Maybe it is. In the center garden, we actually had woven ground cover many years ago already, and it's just been sitting here. So stuff has grown up through the holes that we had burned in it. A bunch of leaves and stuff have actually composted on top, and then weeds have grown in that compost that formed. So we're going to try to get this all pulled out of here today. I don't think they're stapled in here. I think it's just held down by mulch.
Yeah, early on we put down this solid plastic and put some mulch on top of it to keep the weeds out, like as a walkway. And it needs to come out, and it did an okay job. But now it's time to go. That just rolled up like carpet.
I know. All right, next thing we're gonna do is try to get all of the perimeter logs out of the way. For now, I'm just gonna put them in a pile, and then later on, when we're done, I'll take them and we have a big brush pile back in the woods. We'll put them in that. After that, we'll try to mow the little things that are left and see if we can flatten things out and turn it back into a nice piece of grass. All right, we've got pretty much everything done. The last thing to do on this project is I'm going to actually jump on the tractor. I've hooked my tiller up, and I'm going to go over all of this with my tiller. Now, I'm not planning on getting this perfect. I'm not planning on, making this perfectly smooth and level. What I'm hoping to do is break all of this up, till it so that it's fairly level, and then we're going to let nature take its course. that's the same thing that I did over here on the other side. Can't tell that there were gardens ever there. So I'm confident that after this sits for the rest of the winter, by next spring when grass starts to grow again, you'll never know that these raised beds were here. All right, that project is complete. I think this is gonna look pretty nice. Like I said, once it gets rained on and snowed on over the winter, this will kind of even itself out and just turn back into part of the lawn. So I'm excited about that. Instead of mowing around those big raised beds all next summer, I can just mow right over the top of where they used to be.
Well, you guys, this is kind of a bittersweet moment. Even though we've been moving our animals to the farm, this is really the first project that we've done in preparation of getting this homestead ready to sell. And you know, we have done a lot here. We've learned a ton.
You guys have seen it on videos.
Yeah, just recently someone either emailed us or commented or something saying that they've been through all of our videos, you know, twice now. And when they go back to the beginning, they see that we had like nothing here on this homestead, and they just watch the progress and just how far we've come on this homestead and how excited they are that we've been able to even move forward even farther by buying a larger piece of property for us to call our forever property.
Even though we're still a ways away from leaving this piece and moving permanently down to the farm, which at that point will be our homestead.
Right.
It is a little sad to start undoing some of the things. Sarah and I have been kind of reminiscing as we've been doing this project today, talking about remembering hauling all these logs out of the woods. And it was like the very first project, big project that we did when we moved to Missouri. And we were so excited and so proud of ourselves for doing it. And we still are.
Absolutely.
It was a great project. It served its purpose, and it was really a stepping stone to so many other things that we did after that.
You guys, we are so thankful for all of you who have been with us from the very beginning, and all of you who have just kind of come along, you know, at different times. We've really enjoyed what we're doing here. We're going to continue doing this. I feel like all of a sudden we're sounding like we're stopping, but we're going to continue doing this. It's just going to be an interesting transition, lots of new things to discover and plan and
lots of work.
Lots of work, you know. We're always doing lots of work. So we've enjoyed having you along, but we're also really excited for the next step in our lives.
So we hope you guys will all stick around as we start the next kind of chapter of our homesteading life. We enjoy you guys being here. Hey, if you're enjoying our videos, don't forget that the absolute best way you can help us is by sharing our videos on all of your social media. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you leave, that notification bell, and the thumbs up. Until next time, thank you so much for stopping by our homestead. Take care, and God bless.
God bless.